okay, welcome to another lecture discussion, whatever we're calling these. Um, and the ones where we're trying to make better sense of particular approaches to literature. Today, before we go into the place of the poet in the good society, as in before we understand the two terms, the place of the poet and the good society, which I did try explaining initially only, because we were about to delve into this topic. I'm going to discuss something um, which is uh, which is very clear in Plato's book too, where he's discussing the education of the good citizen. Um, when you read as a child, the stories that you're initially introduced to are what stories? Goldilocks and the Three Bears, Cinderella, fairy tales, um, folk stories sometimes. The thing is that literature may either be true or false. Okay? Like, for example, we're reading somebody's biography that would either be that is obviously something that happened, so that's true. Then you're reading a story which would be say Cinderella, which is obviously like there are no actually fairies in the world and pumpkins can't become carriages, and normal slippers can't become glass slippers, all of that stuff, right? Or Goldilocks and Three Bears, bears don't make porridges. Um, but and the young mind, obviously, as Plato said, that it should be trained in both kinds of literature. But what we do is we begin by training the young mind in the stories that I sort of mentioned right now. What this develops, or the idea that this develops, is that today, in today's world, we use the term gaslighting very commonly, right? We're like, don't gaslight me about this experience. No, this happened. You're not believing it. It's actually very real that people can sometimes experience things that they may not be able to explain to someone, right? For example, trigger warning in advance, but there's a law in Pakistan which says that if anyone, God forbid, ever gets raped, there's supposed to be 4 male witnesses to that event, right? Not always is that technically possible, because the thing is that a lot of times these things happen in private only. So in that situation, if somebody is saying something like this happened to me, and 4 people were not present, that would be diminished as per the eyes of the law. So what happens then is that these children, when they grow up, in a lot of events of life, because the brain is conditioned that way, right? We're all like that. If somebody would today tell me, oh my God, I saw a flying plate in the air, I would be like, it's not possible, like you're imagining. Obviously. Similarly, somebody sleeping in another room runs to me, tells me, oh my God, I saw something, or I saw someone in my room. I'd be like, relax, like, have you seen the new part of The Conjuring? Because at the same time, Freud has also come up with these theories, right, of superego and all of that stuff. Because when it comes to psychology, it becomes very complex. And why does that happen? Because as children, when our brain is developing those senses of critically approaching things, because what is literature? Literature is life, right? Um, you read a story, say something as simple as the namesake. What is happening in that? It's real life that's happening, and at times in, say, Harry Potter type of stories, it can, like, there can be elements of magic and this and that. A world can be created or constructed that, okay, fine, beyond this wall is the gateway to a school that's called Hogwarts, and children go there and they study witchcraft and stuff like that. In that scenario, or in that situation, it is really important to understand that a mind that's been conditioned since childhood to believe that, say, Cinderella's story is all is not real, because that's the first story that a child has heard. So the child has been told certain events, and because we all have, right, and then been told that no, but this is not real. You get conditioned to gaslight your own self and those around you, which is why and I decided to bring this up, because which is why when we're trying to understand critical approaches to literature, it is really important that you are able to fully take into account the experiences of someone. Trigger warning again in advance, but say when we read Virginia Woolf, okay, and because Virginia Woolf's life in the end was really tragic in a lot of ways, right? We have the letter that she wrote in the end to her husband that, I feel like I'm getting really terrible in the head again, and I don't want to burden you with it, so fare well. When we read that, as a good critique, it is important to understand that you can't disrespect her by saying, oh no, she was weak and that's why she gave up. You need to be able to take into full account the fact that her circumstances may have been like that she didn't have a choice. I'm talking about being able to critically approach something, right? So then when you're critically approaching something, right, you need to be able to believe the experience or the narration or the story. That, okay, no, this is not like this version of the story that this person is telling, from their shoes it may have looked like this, or they may have felt like this, or this is what happened to them. Obviously it can be really complex, because say when you're reading, there's another course on this channel, of course, on Plath, who again ended up gassing herself to death. Now when you read something like that, you're like, but a lot of people say this, right, that no, but like she could have parted ways with Hughes. Why was she in that marriage if Hughes was so troublesome? Because sometimes you have to end some things for better things to begin and all of that stuff. If you don't take into account that is what Plath's life was. It's not like she chose the suffering for herself. If you give her that due respect, only then will you be able to critically approach her work, right, her life, right. Being able to read the unabridged journals of Sylvia Plath is really easy, but being able to give it the due respect that is what she was feeling inside. um, that is the only way she saw outside. Those things are super important. I guess that's about it for this one. If you like the video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up as well as subscribe to the channel, guys, and don't forget to do the task. I'm sorry this one had a bit of triggering conversations, I know, and I also hope that this is making sense.